This is the first generation iPad Air released all the way back in 2013. When this device was announced, it changed the tablet game forever by offering a new and slim design unlike anything we've seen before. The iPad Air was so ahead of its time that even in 2023 Apple still sells the iPad 9 for almost an identical design. In this video I'm going to review the original iPad Air and tell you if it is still worth it in 2023. When it comes to the build quality, the iPad Air still looks and feels almost the same as the iPad 9 released in 2021. This device is made entirely of aluminum and it still feels premium. My unit is used for a while and of course it has many scratches all over its body, but overall for a 9-year-old device I think it is still in a great shape. I remember when I first got it I was stunned how light it was. The iPad Air on the front has the classic home button, but despite that it is still looking great. This is also the last iPad to have a physical mute switch, which is very convenient, but it got removed in later versions. When it comes to the display, the iPad Air has an LCD panel that maxes out at 9.7 inches. In 2023 this display is actually too small for many people, myself included. This is an area where this device does feel its age. The display of the iPad Air is also non-laminated, so when using it it kind of feels hollow. For me this isn't a major issue since I barely use it, and even when I do I only watch videos. If you only want this device for media consumption, it shouldn't be an issue for you either. Outside it doesn't get that bright, and it catches a lot of reflections, but this isn't a phone that you would carry everywhere. This is just an iPad, and the majority of people will use it inside, so I don't see a problem with this. The biggest drawback of this iPad in 2023 is the software and the performance. The latest version that this device supports is iOS 12 from 2018. The Air runs on the same software for 4 years, and even though it still works, it misses so many features of later versions. The iPad Air is powered by the Apple A7 chip, and honestly it doesn't do much anymore. You can still do basic things with this iPad, but playing games is a nightmare since it lags like crazy. Some of the apps and games don't even support this version anymore. The iPad Air has only 1 GB of RAM, and it can't keep many apps open in the background. The base storage of this iPad is 16 GB, but as you can see I have the 64 GB model, which is still plenty enough for doing the basic things. Moving to the camera section, and here there isn't much to talk about. On the back the Air has a 5-megapixel lens which has always been useless for me, since I never took pictures with it. The front camera, which is more important on the iPad, is only a 1.2-megapixel lens. Truth be told, it is one of the worst cameras I have ever used, and even back then in 2013 its quality was trash. Some of my family members still use it for talking with relatives since they're okay with the quality, but I don't do it because I prefer using phones since their cameras are much better. This iPad has stereo speakers, but they are only on one side. Sound quality I would say is just okay and acceptable. They aren't the loudest or the crispiest speakers out there, but for the most part I think they do the job. A headphone jack is present, but most of us have moved to wireless headphones, so we don't really take advantage of it anymore. One area where this iPad hasn't aged well is with the battery. The battery life on this device isn't really good anymore. It still lasts for the most part of the day when doing light tasks, but when trying some games it drains the battery quickly. Standby time on the other hand is still great. Charging is very slow since it is delivered by a lightning cable, and sometimes it takes more times to charge than it takes to drain the battery. As you can see, the iPad Air has the old home button that doesn't contain Touch ID, so if you want to secure this device your only options are a PIN or a password. Did I ever miss Touch ID on this iPad? Yes, but it wasn't a deal breaker for me since most of the time this device has stayed home. So is the iPad Air still worth it in 2023? And can you actually have a good experience while using it? Honestly, I would say no. As you saw earlier, this device is very slow, and if you plan to do just a bit more than the basics, it will lag a lot. This is just an iPad however. and I'm sure 90% of people will only use it for media consumption and for video callings. When doing these tasks, I think the iPad Air still works. For people that are heavy into tech like me, this iPad won't do it anymore, but for children or older people it is still a good choice. If you still have the original iPad Air, or you were a user of it in the past, let me know your experience in the comment section below. Thank you for watching, and if you did enjoy this video, please consider subscribing to my channel.